Hello. Welcome to the Simply Together show on the 5th of March. It's a bit grey out there, not looking the best, but it's brighter. The mornings are brighter.
They're definitely realising as soon as you wake up that hang on a minute, it's brighter.
It's spring. How are you doing, Shelley?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just recovering after a dog walk, and yes, everything's fine. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I am doing this, and then might be a bit of oversharing, but I'm going to go and have my mammogram. You know, they're going to squash them in, but you need to do it. Women out there, you need to do it. You've got to check your breasts, and you've got to go for your checkups. So I'm doing that this afternoon.
My aunt only knew about her breast cancer because she changed doctors because she changed area, and they said we'll do a full MOT, full mammogram, and it was only then that it was picked up. There was no other signs that she would have had.
Yeah,
no other signs. So,
and sometimes that's the case, isn't it? So, not that we came on the show today to talk about mammograms and things like that, but go and get, if you're of that age, go and have it done, and you need to check every single week. To check every week, every month, just check.
They reckon every month at the same time of your cycle every month, because your breast tissue can change.
Okay.
So you can be like firmer or lumpier at different times of the month as well. So,
okay.
And always check up into your armpits as well. That's one thing that they forget as well. So you concentrate on your breasts. And as we learned on Saturday, we can check the men and the men can check us.
That's right. That's right. So I'm onto a losing streak here because I have no cycle and I've got no man. What the hell? Seriously.
You really do need your squishy then.
Oh my God. Anyway, that wasn't where we were going.
Not often to come round, love.
So is that another thing that I need to add to my list? Somebody, a nice man that's going to check my breasts for me. Wow, what a morning. Anyone who's listening to this, just let us know whether you all just sat there laughing your head off and thinking, what are they talking about? It's where it goes sometimes. It's where it goes. So we do have stuff to talk about today. Shelley is going to talk about my whole self day, which is next Tuesday. So before you go on to that, I just wanted to have a quick chat about Mother's Day, because Samara's asked us to talk about Mother's Day. Hello, Samara. How you doing? So Sunday is Mother's Day, and it can be a lovely time, you know, lovely time with the kiddies and what have you. And that's where we're going, to remind you that it's Mother's Day. So anybody out there who's forgotten that they need to go and get their mum a card or some flowers or some chocolate, hello Rita, or I don't know, a little gift or something, because it's not about the gift, it's about the time you spend with your mum. Obviously, we all know, Shelley, you haven't got any children, but you've got your own fur baby.
Yes.
So does Will take fur baby out to go and get you some bits?
Yes. Fur baby does come back, and he normally has a card, and he normally has something for breakfast.
Good. Good. I like that.
Whether breakfast in bed or whether it's a McDonald's breakfast in bed, it depends.
Oh, very good. TJ, he's well on the spot. Yes.
He's a good boy.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So it's just a little reminder of what Sunday is. It can be a very difficult time for some people. Either they're not mums themselves or they've lost their own mum, and it can be a time of reflection. So it's just about reminding yourself that it's not about that gift. It's about the time, the love, spending that with the people that you want to. And some people have got a mum that's friends and family mum that I'm part of. So yeah, so it can be very nice. What does Rita say?
As Rita just saying, sort of like she had a sister that couldn't have children, but we would spoil her as well because it's because as I say, sort of like it's being your second mum, or you're so friendly with someone they're like your mum.
Yeah.
Like your best friend's mum turns into your mum, if you've lost your own.
Or if you don't like yours.
If you I mean, at church, we always used to, in our house, sort of the house that we grew up in with my granddad, he was a gardener, and we always had daffodils everywhere. So we would always pick daffodils to take into church for Mother's Day. But it was any lady in the congregation would get daffodils. So you as a child would take your daffodils to your mum, obviously, because we'd be in the back with sort of like the youth church kind of thing, and then join in like the main part of the congregation, like halfway through. But every woman would have daffodils to go home with.
Wow.
Because it was a ladies' day rather than just a Mother's Day. And it was just a couple of daffodils with a little bit of foil on the bottom. We'd all sit there and have to wrap up on the bottom. So yeah.
And that's the thing, is it's they still do that in Nike's church. Hello, Nike. I think it's, again, with everything, things become too commercialized, don't they? So it's about getting, I need to get my mum this thing and I need to get my mum that thing. Actually, you don't.
I mean, half the time, it's some of them things kind of like just sit there. You know, it's the meaningful things, the things that you might have put together yourself, things that remind you of certain times. It really does kind of like make a difference.
Yeah.
The kind of gift that you're doing, and not just the bog standard, it's that teddy bear and it's this and it's that.
Exactly. So anybody out there, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, and do what you want to do. Do what feels right. Do what's going to make you happy, and maybe hopefully make mum happy. It is what it is. It's not, if you want to go and get Courtney and Remy, if you want to go if you want to go and get me that big present, you can, but you don't need to. You don't need to. My dog has another mother. Her name is Shelley.
Pablo is mine.
Right, so Rita, you need to be taking Pablo to the shop to get Shelley something for Mother's Day. Oh dear. So, Shelley, you are going to talk about the 12th of March, which is my whole self day next Tuesday. So take it away.
Yeah. So my whole self day is something that comes from the Mental Health Foundation for the UK, for England, sorry. They put it all together to make sure that your person as a whole is okay. So it's not just your mental health. And what this kind of aimed at is for workplaces or groups to make sure that everyone that's all together is actually feeling okay. And if they're not feeling okay, what can they help with the balance of it? So they've done it for quite a few years now, and there's normally like a theme, as same as when you have like mental health weeks and stuff like that. And it always falls on the second Tuesday in March, so hence why it's on the 12th of March. And it's just to encourage, I suppose, like your workplace, because that's, rather than at home, that's the next, or could be the most of the
Yeah.
time that you spend in your life
Yeah.
is actually in work and those people that you work with. So in theory, that all big workplaces are supposed to have a mental health charter. It's a new thing that's more and more now. You are supposed to have, just as much as you have a first aider, you're supposed to have a mental health first aider in workplaces and stuff. Not so much, so it's all kind of like down to yourself. But if you look on, and I did put it in the comments, there's a lot of information online about the campaign, and perhaps you could print it off or share it with your work colleagues and then go to your boss and see how you can actually change how you feel at work. And where they call it your whole self is, it could be something silly like, my desk is in the middle of a call center. I don't see a window. I've got artificial lights. I've got 20 minutes of break times that I can take and a half an hour lunch break. I mean, the half an hour lunch break always winds me up, because by the time that you could have heated up what you've taken into work,
Yeah.
you haven't got a chance to come down from your work day to get into a lunchtime to eat and be able to take yourself out of work even. I mean, I've been doing power walks on a Monday lunchtime with a friend on their lunch break, and they only have half an hour, which is why it turns into a proper power walk. But on that day, they're eating their lunch in their break times because they only have the half an hour. And they feel like they need to be out of the office for a while. And there's quite a lot of people that go around, because all the offices back onto like Houghton Hall Park.
Okay.
So not only you get the dog walkers, you get quite a lot of people that come out on their lunch breaks just to walk around the park.
Yeah.
You got some people on their own that have got headsets on. You got some people that are chatting to each other. I almost got trampled on because I was doing a live on Facebook yesterday before I went to meet them, and there was a gang of like 6 or 8 of them that were walking towards me on the footpath, and I hadn't noticed. So I'm kind of like, I don't know whether you see me properly on the live. There's a whole lot of noise of people, and I'm kind of like this going off the side. But silly things like that, or who you're working with, the time in between, if you're in a call center, for instance, where you're taking calls, that you can, right, okay, if I can work out my work day can do this, and then I do a little bit of that at that time, rather than you bombarding me with everything all at once. So if you have a look on the link, there is ways that you can have these conversations with your bosses, and there's ways that you can do like the one-to-one type of talks, sort of. One of the things that it's got on there, if I can find it because I downloaded it, is a template on, I can't see it now, is a template on how you can have a one-to-one with your boss specifically about your mental health.
Okay.
So it kind of gives you prompts, and it kind of like turns around and says, sort of, how are you feeling with particular things in work? How do you feel like we can make it better? Or how do you feel like you could make it better for yourself? And then for the boss to then have his space to then say, well, how do I feel like I could make that? So you're making some kind of compromise. So if you are, like, obviously your desk is in the middle of the call center and you're not seeing like daylight, your thing could then be, well, I want to be moved next to the window. But in theory, the boss then says, well, I can't actually move you next to the window, but how about if we? So it opens up those kind of conversations. So both of you can actually have got it written down, what your thoughts are, and then you come back into the meeting with all right, okay, so we've talked about things, you've written it down, we've come back to it. How could we change things? As I said, there is different things are coming about in the workplace, both with, as we've just had recently, about the menopause and how, like, legally bosses do have to change things. Mental health is coming into part of that as well, and mental health would be part of your like the menopause kind of thing anyway. So it's something that these cultures, if you like, are beginning to change. They're beginning to realise that mental health is such a big thing. And yeah, just to have, yeah, just to see what Rita then put, it was exactly what we was talking about with Tesco's, way back when Rita was working with Tesco's, and how all the managers are supposed to have this training, how to pick up signs that your staff perhaps feeling okay or not feeling okay. Some of them better than others. Knowing how to take away from a situation and how things are going, because it's a flowing thing, especially when in a store. How's best, because if you've got someone that's had a bad week, had a bad day, they sit in on the checkout. You're supposed to be happy with everyone coming through on your checkout.
Yeah.
If you can't do that bit, then you're affecting then your customers, and it's affecting what your business looks like. Exactly the same when you're in a call center, that you're supposed to be answering your calls. Hello, you're through to, and the amount, if you're not feeling right, the amount that takes it out of you. All these buzzwords. When you're in a call center, you have to answer the phone with a smile because it comes out in your voice.
Yeah, but if you're having a
It's
bad
like,
day,
yeah,
if you're having a bad week, it's not easy to answer that phone,
no,
especially if you're trying to sell something that they don't want, with a smile
yeah,
and a
yeah,
chirpy voice.
yeah. So if you was to then turn around, I mean, quite often, because I worked for NTL, and that was an American-based kind of company, you could actually, the managers were very good in as much as, if my door is physically open, my door is open, you can come
Yeah,
in. And used to go in and say, look, I am having a rough time. Is there any way that we can change around what I'm doing today? And most of the time there was some kind of compromise, even if it was right to the point of, right, okay, we'll take it off the phones and you do something else for your team. So you're still working, but you're not doing that front line kind
yeah,
of thing. There's always a way round, and it is the compromise, and it is. I've been in a managerial position as well. That yes, it is a bit of a pain, but you've got to understand that if you're not backing down, then if you're not having some kind of leeway there, you're going to lose that member of staff. There's no two ways about it. You're going to lose them, whether they leave their job, whether they go on sick leave, because if it's your mental health that's going, your physical health is going to go, which is
exactly.
again why it's called
Yeah.
My Whole Self.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even something simple that if you're stressed, you get a migraine. Everyone knows that, but it's the physical thing. It's such that physical thing.
It's Janetti has said, it's all about listening, as well. So, and for myself, when I was a manager, I had that open door policy. Come and tell me, come and talk to me before it gets any worse, and
Yeah,
let me see what I can do. So yeah, so it's about talking, it's about listening and finding that compromise.
yeah,
But also, if you know your staff, you
yes,
will be able, even if, like Jeanette said, it's not easy to talk, period. You know,
yeah,
when you're feeling low, it's really not easy to come and talk. But if you know your staff,
yeah,
you can see when someone's not doing very well. And I think that is, I knew the staff that I had in each of the services that I worked in, you know,
mm.
and you know when somebody is off their game. Yeah,
And it's not necessarily, and I do try and explain this to people when you said, we've both kind of pick up on this, but when you when you know somebody, or even if you don't know anyone and it's a stranger, there's different signals that are there that once you know them and you've learnt them, you can pick up on them. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily that they're looking down or anything. It could be no eye contact. It could even be that they're angry. Angry is I've learned is the easiest thing to get to. It's the easiest emotion to get to. That anger will come first before anything else. So you could be it could be stressed, you could be upset. So you could, like, you're grieving or anything. Anger will be the one that will come out, and anger will be the one that people don't necessarily realize it's all then to do with like a depression, or it could be just general stress. Like people being quiet, people. I mean, like for me, yeah, when I go quiet, people still not panicking.
Yeah. Where is she? Why is she not answering? Okay,
Yeah.
what's going on? Yeah. And sometimes that is the easiest way, other than anger, to know that there is something happening. Because if you know that that person is normally quite talkative and they'll come in and hello and everything else, and they're not doing that, then something is happening.
Something's going on.
Yeah.
And then as a manager, or even as you as a colleague should know what's kind of going on around you. I'd be able to pick up on those. Going back to Janetti's thing about not being able to talk, also on that link for the My Whole Self thing, it's actually got tips on how to talk and how to listen properly. It's not really an easy way. It's an active listening. It's a how was we told? It's listening to understand, not listening to respond. It's listening that you're taking in all the information and you're listening and perhaps responding, like repeating back to them.
Yeah.
That what they've just said, so it then makes them feel better that you've actually heard what they've said. And also perhaps not actually talking. So when they're talking, you can and then go quiet, and then they might then come out with more. Because quite often, if I've been in both positions, so if I'm trying to talk and I'm trying to think about how I'm going to say something, so it makes it clear and it makes it I'm not going to come across as wrong quite often. I don't want to upset the person that I'm then speaking to. That it's taken a lot for you to then say something. And if someone's then kind of heard what you've said and then just starts talking back at you, it's kind of like, well, what's the point of me saying anything? And then you'll go quiet. So if you kind of, oh, right, okay, or can you explain more? Or I'm not sure, am I getting it? Do you mean? And then get them to start talking a bit more, and sitting side by side with someone or walking side by side with someone is one of the best ways of talking and listening, because you've not got direct eye contact. It's easier for someone to then talk.
It can be scary having that direct eye contact. That can be really scary, because that person is then looking at you and waiting for you to say something.
I mean, I could easily turn around and say to someone, "Oh, sorry, what did you mean?" Now, if I'm facing you directly, what did you mean feels very kind of, what do you mean by that? Whereas if I'm next to you and you say, "I'm sorry, what did you mean?" You won't necessarily pick up on the sign that I'm looking at you and saying, "What did you mean?" It's like, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. What did you mean by it? It's, all that kind of like language, all that kind of language then comes from it. But there is a hints and tips. So both for managers as well, because it can be difficult for managers, because you kind of want to be a friend, but you kind of want to be a manager.
Yeah.
And you've got to answer to your bosses.
Yeah.
And that is always one of the worst things when you're trying to think, oh, hang on a minute, I want to be helpful to you, but I know that I can't give you everything, and what can we do? What's this give and take going to be?
But there is that compromise, though, isn't there? And it's about that. But also, if as a manager, I mean, there's been many a time where I've then said to my manager that I'm doing this with this person for this reason. And unless it's going to disrupt the whole situation, or it's going to cost them extra money or something like that, they need to then take on board the decision that you've made, because that's why you are the manager. Because if you can see why this needs to happen, they then need to listen to that. I
mean, some of the courses that they then do with sort of all around all this kind of stuff with Mental Health First Aid England, they are the ones that are doing, like, for everyone to do training to be a mental health first aider. And it's I think all managers need to have some kind of thing, because it all then comes underneath like stress as well. I mean, how have you got a coping strategy in work if you are under a lot of stress? Like, who do you go to? How do you work it out? And all of that kind of thing. I mean, they have got the one thing that I said about the stress thing. I think it's called the stress container. It's how to manage the stress levels and how you understand how stress is going into your container. What do you keep hold of? How do you let it off slowly rather than it overflowing? Because that's another thing. You don't know what could be stressing someone out. They could be containing everything for so long and then just go. And that is in your workplace. That could be in front of your work colleagues. That could be in front of your customers. That someone just then suddenly goes, I can't take this anymore, and goes off on one. And I've seen that so many times. So many times where people have been on customer calls and you just see the headset come off.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Okay.
So when you've had a call 20 hours and they've got, thank you very much, goodbye, and like and the headset, and they've walked off.
Everybody works differently, don't they? You know, and some jobs suit some people and some jobs don't. I could not, under any circumstances, do one of those jobs because I'd want to scream, I think. You know, if you're rude and you ring up, if there's somebody rings up and they're rude and I'm just taking the call, there's only so many of them I could take, and that headset would be off.
We did have a customer that ended up on Christmas Day. We're working on Christmas Day, and there is a fault with her box. There's no way that we can actually fix this, like your cable box in your house. We've tried everything. We've been on the phone for ages, and she blows up at the person that she's speaking to was trying to fix the fault. I get it to come to me because I'm a senior, and I'm trying to say to her that I'm really, really sorry that we have tried absolutely everything. Even if we were to have an engineer in your area, bearing in mind it's Christmas Day, it might not even fix the fault. We don't know where exactly it is. It's your equipment in your house. She didn't like what I said, and it went to my manager. Now, my manager then got to the point where he says, I'm really sorry to say this to you, but it's Christmas Day. Why do you need the telly? Play with your kids. Talk to people around the house. He said, I know it's Christmas Day, because she then goes, what am I meant to do with my kids? Da, 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 da. And it really, she went off on one. And I can understand a parent at home trying to work out everything for Christmas Day. But there was that point of, the kids have all got toys. You've all opened presents.
Exactly, that you've just wrapped up and had under the tree from Santa.
Spend that time with your family on Christmas Day. We're sat in a call centre. We cannot be with our family on Christmas Day. We're answering your calls. But he was basically, he said, I'm really, and he was apologetic to right at the beginning. It was like, I'm really sorry to say this, But
Wow. Do you think, though, that the expectations, which kind of feeds into mental health anyway, because, I don't know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, Christmas Eve, everything shut down, didn't open up till whenever, Easter was everything was shut. All of those were shut. The shops were not even open on a Sunday. We've now become so, I don't know, comfortable, and we have an expectation that everything is now open. And even if it is Christmas Day, we're still expecting something.
Yeah. I mean, even for remote working at home now, you could go home, you could do your full day at work, and you could go home, and if something was to pop up, it was, oh, can you just log on? And I know people that are online with their job. Yes, it is that it is a stressful job, and they need to do loads of stuff, and it is a load of money that's going through their systems, that they're doing it for these big, huge companies. But because I've not finished off doing that thing, and I'm now going to do it, and I'm going to carry on until 3 o'clock in the morning and come into work at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And still carry on working, because I'm the only person that does this. Hang on a minute. You're then going to affect my mental health. You're going to affect my physical health. And I'm not going to be here.
Yeah.
And the thing of it being that, what is it that they turn around and say? Your job advert will go in the paper quicker than your obituary.
Yes. They will replace you just like that. And we are so, I don't know, we again, years ago, you could just leave one job tomorrow and walk into one the next day, or start a new job on the Monday. That is not how it works now. No. So that jobs are not just there at hand. So I think it becomes even more so that I have to keep my job. I have to do what I'm being asked to do, because otherwise, how am I going to how am I going to do that? Yeah, Jeanette is right. And I come from the care world, 30 years working within care. So nursing and care has no Christmas. There is no Christmas, because actually you're working, somebody is working. So
and then shops are now gone exactly the same thing, that there is no Sunday. I've only got Sunday opening hours, but yeah, really, you always used to be closed on a Sunday.
Yes. And a bank holiday. If it was a bank holiday, there weren't shops open. There was none of that. Whereas now it's all there. So if you're working, that stress is on you as well. So for people, especially people who work in retail, you get your Christmas Day, and then Boxing Day starts at stupid o'clock for Next, 6 o'clock in the morning, something ridiculous like that. And to keep those jobs, you feel like you have to do that.
Yeah.
Plus 24/7 shopping. See, and that's the other thing, is 24/7 shopping. Somebody has to sort that order,
someone's there somewhere,
pack that stuff, and send it out. So we're sat at home ordering at 2 o'clock in the morning, but somebody else has to actually do that.
Yeah.
And if we don't get it when they tell us we're going to get it, then we're on the phone. What's going on? Where's my order? And that stress just builds again. So, yeah. Workplace stress.
I did have the hub of hope going across the bottom of the screen just there. It's a searchable function for anything. It was set up specifically for mental health, but everything is then on there now. Anything to do with debt relief. There's a lot that you just put your postcode in, and you click to say what kind of issues that you're dealing with, and it will come up with projects and charities in your area in the UK, and the national ones as well. So anything that we've been talking about, or anything, always then go on to Hub of Hope. There's always something out there that then can actually then help you.
I think one of the biggest things to remember, even if you are that person that goes to work every day, doesn't take sick days, and the ones that are so conscientious, but actually they are struggling. These things that are coming into the workplace, like all workplaces are supposed to have a menopause policy.
Yep.
Now my whole self day, all organizations have got mental health policies.
Yep.
And you're entitled to that. You're entitled to have that conversation and see whether you need some reasonable adjustments. You are entitled to that. And just remember that. You're not making a fuss, because I don't know how many people over my years have come in my office and said, oh, I don't want to make a fuss, but you're not making a fuss. You're not making a fuss. Just go and talk to whoever it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes it can be the very, very simplest thing. I mean, I went through counselling when I was at NTL, and
bye, Janetti. Lovely to have had you on today. Getting back to nursing now, 24/7. See?
Yeah, 24/7. You only get that little bit for a break.
Yeah.
And as part of that, they asked me to write down during the day how I was feeling. Now, I could have done that so many different ways. I could have written it as a journal, just a little notepad next to me. I could have written it the other way that they said about was just rate your day 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 kind of thing, of how upset or angry or whatever it was. Because I just couldn't work out what it was. I mean, generally, general stuff, fine, not a problem. But something was, I wouldn't say it was putting me on edge. Something was making me feel that fight or flight kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was just so agitated kind of thing, and I couldn't work it out. Writing down the note. I mean, no one in the office knew, apart from one manager, because he was my best friend. But so writing it down, and then one guy came through into our department. He'd been off, I think, off a couple of days, and then he came in, and I scribbled in the book, and I slapped the book closed, and I shoved it in the drawer. And my mate, like my boss, was sat next to me, and he went, "You found your trigger, haven't you?" I said, "Yeah." And I don't know why I didn't think of it before. It was just because this one particular guy was so flamboyant. It was like, "Oh, hi, lovies," and da. And that just grated me. And I didn't know that was grating me so much until it was all a little note. Oh, it's him. And shut the book, put it in the drawer, shut the door. I should have picked up on that. I didn't. But because it was written down, and because it was part of a conversation, because it was something else, that then showed me exactly what was going on.
Sometimes you don't see those things, though. You feel them, and you can feel them internally, and it can produce, I don't know, anger, sadness. You can just be really annoyed, but it doesn't mean that you actually know what that trigger is. No. And it just needed that one avenue there with that book for you to then see, okay, that's what that is. And it's like, again, within the workplace, if you're feeling like there's something you're not quite sure, again, if you can go and talk to anybody, they might be able to find out what that is for you.
Yeah.
But I just think don't suffer in silence.
No.
We do too much of that. Far too much of that. Don't suffer in silence. Go and talk to somebody, or write it down. If you can't say it, write it down and give that to your boss.
Yeah.
Because that then opens up that conversation.
Yeah, because you are going to forget what you want to say or how you want to say it, or you're worried about it coming out wrong. As I said before, when so quite often I'll go quiet when I need to say something, because I want to work out how I'm saying it, not to affect anyone else, and making sure that I explain it properly, because sometimes you can't even explain it yourself to yourself. If you're trying to explain it to someone. But yeah, so writing it down is, I mean, I would say that for when you're going to the doctors and everything, write things down. Write things down.
Yeah.
Because it will go out of your head and you won't be able to say it properly, or you'll forget the word, or yeah.
And it could be that person, whether that's your manager or whether it's the doctor or whether it's the nurse or whoever it is, you might feel quite intimidated by them. So if you've got it written down, you can then show them exactly how you're feeling, you know, especially when you go to doctors, because they're just God, aren't they? Apparently. And they still think they are, you know.
I made my doctor laugh last time. I walked in and he said, so how are you? And I'm like, obviously I'm not well because I'm in the doctor. I didn't really think about the saying that, did I?
That's the most silliest thing, really, and we all do that. How are you? Well, I'm not well, because that's why I'm here. But that alone could then make you forget what it is that you wanted to say.
Yeah.
So if you've got it written down, or you know, you've got what you can print off on here, it gives you that in. You know what you then want to say because you've got that there.
Yeah, and especially this my whole self thing has actually got prompts, so it'll even if you've had a thought about what's going on at work and how you want to change it, it actually gives you prompts as to how to explain it better. So it'll then be, this is what I've got going on, this is how I feel like I could change it. So rather than you just going and saying, I'm having a bad day when it comes to into the afternoons because I'm not sleeping well at night, your boss could then turn around and say, well, how can we help? And you'll go, oh, I don't know. But this is giving you prompts. This is giving you like a backbone, if you like, of how you're going to word it. And then giving you that kind of in with the boss or whoever it happens to be. I mean, some people have got first aiders at work. Some people have got have got like the Oki Health kind of thing, or the HR has got that kind of it's not just your paperwork HR, it's your whole self HR.
Yes.
Some of them have got that you could go in and say, look, this is not working so well. Can we change something? But yeah, it just gives you those prompts as well of how further you can say something.
Well, there we go. I don't even know where this went. It went on all different roundabouts.
It's all off the place.
So, just
can we just say to everyone, we did not have a clue what we were talking about today.
You've got to love it, haven't you? This is how it goes. This is how it goes. We say it every time. So have a look on our page. The information is also on here. My whole self day is Tuesday, 12th of March. It's the start. It might just be the start for you to be able to, you know, have a look, think about what's happening for you, and then share that in a way, whether that's via prompts, whether you can talk to your manager, even if it's talking to your doctor, whatever it is, but it's about you. It's about you. And what can then be changed in the workplace. And just remember, as I said, you're entitled to all these things.
Yes.
Right? You're not asking for anything out of the ordinary. You are entitled to these things. And this is about making the workplace a better place for you. So my whole self day is next Tuesday. Monday, no. See, it's called brain fog. It's called brain fog.
Sunday.
Sunday, God. Sunday is Mothering Sunday. And as we said at the beginning, mothers take all shapes and forms.
Yeah.
And who you're looking after takes all shapes and forms. So TJ, Pablo, get your stuff, right?
Yes.
You need to get these presents in for Shelley, okay?
Yes.
And then Saturday at the Luton Library Theatre, St George's Square.
Yes, yep.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. Voices of Nubian Queens. It's an evening of poetry, prose, and music. So it's Saturday on the 9th. It's 7:30 to 10:30. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. There are still tickets as far as we're aware. The tickets are £10 and you get a free raffle in that as well. We've got people from our own team are there. Hanifa is there doing her poetry. Samara is there and is going to be singing. You know, there's numerous women that are going to be there, and it's not to be missed. So again, have a look on our page, Voices of Nubian Queens, and get your tickets. And I need to get ready because I've got to go and get squished.
Yes.
How exciting is that? But as I said, you need to do it.
We did have Anna say we're both, well, yeah, you're gynae this week.
Health. You need to look after your health.
Yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Got to look after yourself. It doesn't matter if the squishing is going to hurt. It's going to check and make sure everything's okay. That's what it's about. A little bit of uncomfort. Yeah. Just remember that next week, Shelley. A little bit of uncomfort. It's going to be all good. And you need to tune in next week to find out what uncomfort she's going to be having.
Yeah. I'm not going live from there.
She's going to be live in the room. Anyway, we will be back next week, next Tuesday, same time, 12 o'clock. What time's your appointment?
Well, it's then a bit early in the morning, so yeah.
Oh, so you can give us a blow by blow. Okay. Yeah. We'll be here next week. So next week we will see you all. Take care. Bye.